A very good day to you, whenever and wherever you happen to be watching this video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lewis and I am the minister to Nottage General Baptist and Unitarian Church near Porthcawl in South Wales. And this ostensibly is the service for Sunday, April the 19th, 2020, a time when we still find ourselves in lockdown due to the COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak and cannot worship in our sanctuary together. And I begin our worship this day with the words of George Eliot. Ours is a faith taught by no priest, but by our beating hearts. Faith to each other, the fidelity of those whose pulses leap with kindred fire, who in the flash of eyes and clasp of hands, nay, in this silent bodily presence, feel the mystic stirrings of the common life that makes the many one. Now, the reading I have chosen for today's service comes from the book of Acts, and it's the 9th chapter, verses 1 to 6. Meanwhile, Saul was uttering threats with every breath and was eager to kill the Lord's followers. So he went to the high priest. He requested letters addressed to the synagogues in Damascus, asking for their cooperation in the arrest of any followers of the way who he found there. He wanted to bring them back, both men and women, to Jerusalem in chains. As he was approaching Damascus on his mission, a light from heaven suddenly shone down around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" "Who are you, Lord?" asked Saul. And the voice replied, "I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting. Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do." I invite you now to join with me in prayer. Infinite and loving God, who has made all to dwell in one great family, we thank you for our friends and neighbours in this land and in all lands. May we strive to understand people whose ways of life are different from our own. May we learn to control our tongues when we are tempted to speak unfairly or unkindly of others. May we respect and courageously defend the rights of all, so we would help to establish friendship on the earth. And so that we would find deeper comradeship and truer happiness through learning to know one another better. Let us now embrace the silence, bringing before God our own needs, concerns, and joys this day. In returning from the silence, I invite you to join with me in saying the words that Jesus told when asked how we should pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now, the theme of my address today is breakdowns and breakthroughs. I'm sure that we will all have experienced times in our lives when what at the time seemed like a breakdown actually turned out to be a breakthrough. There's the period of breakdown when our lives seem to fall apart. We might end up on our knees wondering what has hit us. We might cry out. We can't see clearly, if indeed we can see at all. It's not fun. It can be terrifying. But at least sometimes what feels like a breakdown can become a breakthrough. What sounded like death knocking turns out to have been the wake-up call we so badly needed. What looked like the end proves to be a new beginning. A new beginning we could never have planned or devised for ourselves. Now, Saul of Tarsus seems to have had just such an experience on the road to Damascus. Lights flashed around him. Voices called out to him, although nobody else heard them. He lost his sight. He sank to his knees. But it wasn't the end. It was a beginning. So much so that his old name no longer seemed to fit him. Saul, the persecutor of the followers of the way, the name Christians had before they were known as Christians, became Paul, Apostle of Christ. The idea that an ending can actually be a new beginning is so large a truth that we often only notice it at its most dramatic. When we have our own road to Damascus experiences, so to speak. But it's true for many other, more common life passages that end one stage and mark the beginning of another. Some of these events may be so very significant that they change the very course of our lives. I'm thinking of those events that resulted in us changing our career path. I'm thinking of those kinds of events that perhaps resulted in us changing our whole worldview, our political or religious point of view. I'm thinking of the kind of events that maybe even changed the sort of relationship we had with someone. Or even the kinds of events that changed how we face death. Every one of our individual lives is filled with such threshold moments. The same is, of course, true of the collective life of a group of people, such as a religious community or a congregation. Changes trigger moments of reflection on endings and beginnings. When things break down in our lives, such as the end of a job, the questioning of one's supposed identity, family difficulties, or indeed the current health difficulties that we are all facing. Our faith convictions can take these things and do something new. Life's breakdowns can and often do become breakthroughs. And during this lockdown, this very, very strange time where people are having to work and live in ways that they never anticipated, and for which at the moment we can see no light at the end of the tunnel. And when we have no clear idea of when we might again meet in person, let us remember what we have in our fellowship. A fellowship which extends beyond the four walls of Nottage Chapel. I know many people in the larger community in Porthcawl, and indeed further afield than that, worldwide even, feel to be part of our fellowship. Because we have something that is very important. We have a community. A community for you, whoever you are, and wherever you are on life's journey. Thank you for listening, and would you please once again join me in prayer. Loving God, when things fall apart in us and around us, help us to know that you are still God, that you are still at work, and that by your grace and in your time, we will know a new and deeper life. Amen. Well, as I've said, we don't know when the lockdown will be lifted. I've heard 3 weeks before any changes, and I've heard 3 months until we're starting to stop the social distancing. But I want you to know that wherever you are and whoever you are, Nottage Chapel is here for you. If you would like to speak to anybody or myself on a pastoral matter, then please contact me via the Facebook page or by my works email address, which is nottage.minister@gmail.com. There's always somebody around to listen to any of your needs and to help where we can. And let us bring our worship to a close with these words of benediction. May we have a deep faith in God, and a deep faith in the reality and promise of humankind. And may we speak of this faith in love and endeavour to show by our lives its power and its beauty.